Like Paul said, it looks like it was supposed to be there. That was the time. Right, and you have enough time. I know.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah, Kirk is the artist. He's the one sitting, he's got the shorts on, he's sitting there drinking a Diet Coke.
Okay.
That's Kirk Williams. This is his wife, Karen.
Hi, how you doing? Yes. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where did you come from? I follow. Oh, I wasn't trying to. Yeah.
She's got a lot of things to do for the residents. Very strong. I love her for that.
Kirk is right there with the little girl with the baby.
It's another thought I had after we talked. There's a clipping from the original story in that scrapbook right about this photos. I don't know if you might want to snap a picture for the reference or something.
Yeah.
In case you want to look back at kind of the historical part of it. Might give you a little more depth to that. So otherwise, I think the program part is only 10, 15 minutes or something. We'll say a few things and I'll turn it over to Kirk. And we'll
Good to see you. A couple of places it wasn't in the back.
Anyway, I'm good.
They had drinks and every other one.
Oh, I've been doing Great. Yeah, I'm gonna go in there. You enjoyed.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I have a few comments to make, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to Kirk Williams here. 2 years ago, the Pioneer Care Auxiliary and the Pioneer Care Foundation worked together to raise funds for this, to build this pergola. Thanks to generous response from donors, we surpassed our goal and had funds left over to take the next step and reinstall Kirk's sculpture. It had been located in the Ione Lundin Garden Court at the original site since the mid-1980s. That original garden was the vision of Carmen Jackson, the administrator for Pioneer, and it was made possible with a major gift from the family of Ione Lundin and other donations. Now, with the sculpture reinstalled here at Pioneer Care, this fountain and space reminds us of where we came from, both as individuals, as we honor our parents and grandparents, and as an organization, honoring our past and continuing our mission. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate and hear from Kirk about his creative process and background of this beloved piece. Let me introduce Kirk.
Okay. Hello. All right. Okay, where to start? First of all, when you mentioned Carmen Jackson, the start of this, I don't know how it all got started. There was Ed Lundin involved, and they had this meeting, and I says, I have an idea. I made a little clay sketch of something that's similar to this, and he looked at it and he says, that's it, that's what I want. And
Go over there.
and I was going, oh my gosh, okay. So we had a contract made and I signed the papers. I went home and I didn't sleep for 2 weeks. Because I'd never made this one this big. They've all been like this. No, I've never made busts before, let alone, I call it 3/4 size. And so there was this article in the Artist magazine about cold cast bronze. That's what this is. It's epoxy and powdered bronze, girls. There's going to be a test on this. Powdered bronze, and it's like a flour. And you mix it with epoxy, and you get bronze plus in a different form, but it's the same thing, only different. Foundry, he says, well, check to see what a foundry cost would be. And I did. And I think at that time it was $25,000, $30,000 for the foundry process. And that was down in Colorado. And I said, well, I'm going to use this new method. And we had discussed it. We signed the papers. Like I said, I went home and I was beside myself as to how I was going to do this. And I actually contacted the guy that wrote the article and that worked with this medium. He's a well-known sculptor in the Michigan area, Ed Chisholm. His pieces were huge, but he also did foundry bronze as well as this, and gave me some pointers, and it just wasn't enough. But I had done some sculpture and casting, working in clay, and I just kind of decided how big it was going to be. I had to go buy clay. It was like 1,200 pounds of wet clay. And I remember that I didn't know what I was doing. I thought, they said, well, just make an armature and then you can go from there. Well, I didn't know how I was going to get this done, so I had to have all this clay to actually build it up. I made an armature in the middle so it wouldn't fall down. That's the only thing that you want it to not do, is not fall down. So anyway, and the rest is, I guess, I was, 28 years old? When I did this, I was going, it's kind of so dang normal looking, and grandpa and grandma, and there's nothing mystical, or I wanted to do, I told Carmen in his pocket I wanted to put a little bottle of a fifth of something. And he says, Kirk, no, don't do that. I said, how about a fish? No, just that magazine that you said you were going to do. Okay, so I did the magazine. And then to make a little bit of a tweak, I put a butterfly on her rear hind. And I guess I had to settle for that because, Grandpa and Grandma, at that time I was thinking different. I was so hyper and stuff getting this thing done. I spent all winter on it. I had to wait for the clay to get a special dryness. I could not have it dry out. That would start cracking. So there was a special, it had to be dry to the touch, but yet still wet. And I had to let it sit out for 2 weeks to let it kind of firm up. And I had no clue if latex was going to take to wet clay. I'd never done it before. Ed said he'd never done it. So there we go. That was nightmares. Anyway, I finished it, and Carmen Jackson was just elated, and I guess, well, that's a good sign. And I got to meet Ed Lundeen, who was quite, I don't know how to put this, he was a little bit of a character. He reminded me of Hemingway in a way. He did sword fishing or something. He was just a little bit different, and I really enjoyed him. And I did not know much about, I was so involved with it, I did not know much about who it was dedicated to, his wife. And I did not know her, so I couldn't do anything that was directed towards her. But I thought, because it's a retirement home, this would be the perfect thing. So I got it done. And there it is. To make a long story short, it took me a month to cast it because I was learning the process. Actually, you make a latex mold, and then the latex mold makes the image inside, and then you have to make a cradle mold which supports the latex mold. And the only way I could cast it, I had to hang it from the ceiling, and it was on pulleys and stuff so I could rotate it. Because the only way into it was into the bottom. Anyway, it got done, it's here. It has weathered very well. And I was so, when they were tearing it down, I asked Steve, what are you going to do with it? Well, I think we're going to put it in storage. I said, okay. There's nothing I can do. But then he said, but we're going to see what we can do with it, And he called me 2 days later. And then he said, we're going to put it in the fountain here. And I was absolutely elated. It needed some work because it oxidized a lot, and it was just like green and full of rust and blah blah and bugs. And so my sister and I, Liz, and my wife helped. The way you keep this shiny is you use steel wool. So we had to steel wool the whole thing to get all the most of the oxidation off. And it turned out pretty dang good. It was still there. It was still there. You couldn't tell. I don't know. It just looked really like it had a disease or something. And but now fast forwarding to me looking at this, I'm going, that's what this is about. It's not milk toast, grandpa and grandma, blah 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 blah. It is a symbol of the people that come here who've had all these lives and these marriages, and a lot of their lives have passed before them. And when you think about it, that's what's most important in life, is that protection and that closeness with the people you love. Whether it's your wife or your girlfriend, wife, or your wife, whatever. Anyway, let's see. I'm gonna transition. I did a writing which kind of sums up this whole thing, but it came quite a few years later. Can you hold this? I'll get my glasses on. All right. Oh my gosh.
That's all right. No, I can handle it. Yeah, but even if you don't need it.
Okay. Actually, I got the 200 pair at home, and this is the one I took out. Scratched up. It's a good thing if you got reading glasses, go to the dollar store. I buy 20 at a time. Lasts me about 3 months, and then. Anyway, I wrote this. It's a synopsis of the circle of life, kind of done in fast segments. In the bright sun, we rose with shiny faces. We played, danced, sang, and loved. Had no worries, no possessions. We chose partners, had babies. Our babies had babies, with cats, dogs, cars, homes, stuff piled to the ceiling. All around us was abundance. Where did it all come from? With much laughter and joy we had, along with heartbreaks and pain. With tears we buried our loved ones and defended the ground that we cultivated. So soon it came, so soon it went. But the minutes ticked down to hours. Now, as we watch in humbleness at this stage of life, we face our own last sunset. Then we take our final leave. Our shadows will never cast on this earth again. But what a time, what a place, what a time it was. Amen. Okay, anyway, thank you all for coming. This is really a full circle thing. In case you don't know, I have another sculpture in the, what do you call that, the auditorium?
Celebration.
The celebration, about creation. And that was the last sculpture I did. And I'm very honored and thankful for the Pioneer Home for letting me, do these two pieces. That I have gotten so much reflection from people that have seen the ones in there, and it's just really hits me in the heart that I can make something and people actually come back and say that was awesome. And this lady over here in the purple dress said I look like that man there. I disagree. If there's any questions, let's do it.
Anybody have any questions for Kirk?
Good. I really thank you for coming. It means a lot to me. Now I can relax.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My granddaughter. But the other one. They keep coming around, popping up.
Well, thank you all for coming, and please help yourself to a treat before lunch here. Well, doesn't have dessert first today, so you're welcome to that. The table is just under the flagpole there. There's also a scrapbook over there that kind of chronicles the time the sculpture was at its original location, and we've kind of started chapter 2 in that scrapbook as well. So if you have a chance, take a peek. Thank you.
I'd like to say one more thing. Jeff Zachman is here, who helped move the sculpture and let me bring it to his studio and redo the structure underneath, because the other one had rusted off. I think we used aluminum this time. Stainless. And so it was allowed to be put back on with confidence. And he was very gracious to help me. So thank you, Jeff. Over and out.
Yeah, that's cool. I never noticed that before. I know, I did. Wasn't we here when it was installed? Sorry. They got little bars and lemonade over there. Would you like some? Your deal. Dessert to go and then eat it after that. Wrap it in a napkin. You don't get to do that. Have a good day. I can take it if you want to have it. Okay. If you want anything on just a second, I'm going to check her body. Okay. Come around. We can get there. We can do it.
I'm just taking a couple pictures for Dan.
Oh, she did get
This space isn't snow. Well, yeah. We still have the plaque?
Hey Buzz, how you doing?
The garden isn't named after anyone else. I have it in my office. Is that something that someone would like? Dan is, he's coming later this summer in August. Yeah, Kirk was comfortable bringing it on. So. Okay. Should it be? Yeah. You know, I think you would like it. And, I should get his contact.
I'll come back for you.
Yeah, because I felt bad that he wouldn't, that we weren't able to get this back.
You want to come with us? How are you? Do you want to talk?
Right here.
Hi, dear heart. We'll be right back. What are you doing? Oh, yeah. Honey, I have a party at Darkness and doing lots of swimming. Yeah. And Doc said, I think we're at a party while we were gone. I said, am I in your way? Is she having it at the church? Oh, over there. Yeah, because I missed, because they just had a celebration of one thing. We'll come back shortly for you, ladies. So, yeah, that would be fun. Okay.
Yeah, so now it's...
Oh, good to see you. Yeah, take care. Bye, sir.
Oh, really?
Love you. Love you. Hi.
Where do you live now?
In Durham on the Gulf Coast. Yes. Yes. Oh, and see, and this young lady, we go down and
I'm in
we pick up people
Brooklyn, New
at
York.
the
We're been
Pioneer.
there for quite a long time.
Yeah, and we picked her up at an apartment.
Whoever gets
A friend of ours got some.
Yeah.
Oh, we
And
did
elsewhere,
yeah, big time.
maintaining
Yes,
my place
and
there.
so important. I love it. Yes, you are.
Here for
You're right. Oh, with those dark eyes. And you're London. She had a clothing store and she with everybody.
So anyway.
And now you're rest.
Well, I don't really. And Emily and Avery, you guys.
Yes, I would have known without the glasses.
But I had, yeah, I was a year ahead of you. So I remember you, but obviously. Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I'm Bonnie Baker. My sister. Hi. Nice to see you.
Oh, really?
yeah.
I think I'd make it. Yeah.
But
Shut up!
my dad, so you're hunting and all of that. So we go
Norman's gonna do I think it's beautiful. Others in my family have been, but they went after. Larry left on my desk or whatever.
There they are.
yeah.
Well, let me take mine in the shade. Wow, how dare I? I know. No, water feels good.
Yeah.
She's just
Well,
like
now
her
I'll be
mother.
out eating.